So obviously there has been a massive divide occurring on the right. I mean, if you pay attention to politics at all, you've seen this, right? There is like the whole Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson side, and then there's like the Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin side. And the right is, I mean, saying that it is fractured would be an understatement. There is actual animosity, hatred. Friendships are dying because of this. So to say that there is a divide happening on the right would be an understatement. There is an absolute civil war happening right now on the right. And lucky for us, Chris Williamson and Brett Cooper just sat down for a conversation about this. I think the title of their video is literally Inside the Conservative Civil War. So we're going to watch some of it together, and we're going to figure out exactly what is happening with the civil war on the right, because it is fascinating.
What are your thoughts on the conservative civil war that seems to be happening?
Starting off strong. Huh? Gosh. I think that it is, obviously there are a lot of issues that people are debating, I think that have caused this schism that we're seeing. But I think that there are a lot of people that are arguing and fighting in good faith. I think that there are a lot of people online who think that these are just like bad actors on both sides who are going after each other.
I do agree with this, actually. So a lot of people always accuse, let's take the Fuentes and Carlson side right now, okay? A lot of people just say Carlson and Fuentes are both just doing everything they're doing for clicks, for money. I don't think that's true. I genuinely believe that they think that they are doing something that is benefiting the country, that they are drawing attention to things that need attention, that need a light shown on, okay? Things that have been hiding in the darkness for way too long, and they think that they are bringing attention to it and they are helping out our country. Whereas the other side, you know what? Maybe they believe the same thing too. Actually, I believe that they do. Okay, so I agree with Brett here. Both sides are acting in what they believe to be good faith. And I really don't like all this stuff like, oh, Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Dave Smith, they're trying to destroy this country, destroy our MAGA movement. No, I don't think that's the case. I think they're doing what they think is best for the country. And also, everyone's always attacking Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin. They are trying to destroy this country for the benefit of Israel. They were sent here to undermine us. I don't think that's true either, okay? I think that maybe Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin might see us as us being a closer ally to Israel as being a benefit to the United States. I think that that's where I lean on that. I don't think that they're trying to undermine the United States or sell out the United States. That's not what I believe. And I also don't believe that Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, all these people are simply just trying to pad their pockets and they're knowingly destroying the country. I don't think that's the case.
Look at it as there are these groups of people, they're extremely passionate. They have an idea of, the direction our country and this, movement and party should go. And they're worried about, one side.
Also, look at Brett Cooper's swag right now. Look at her Nashville swag. Look at them cowboy boots. Look at her fit. That's a Nashville fit right there. Yep. It's looking good, Brett. Looking good.
Taking too much power, of the radicals taking control of, of us getting too involved in foreign affairs, whatever it might be. And so I look at it as something that is not that the Civil War is a positive, but that there are good people fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that makes it a little more nuanced.
That's a very diplomatic way to start. Yeah, well done. Disclaimer done.
Yep. But I also think my big issue with it is when it comes down to the issue of free speech and hypocrisy on the right. That's what I've been talking about a lot, is
Absolutely.
that we've spent so many years railing against the purity tests, and we're not.
Yep, she is absolutely right here, because what has the Ben Shapiro Mark Levin done? Deplatform Tucker Carlson. Deplatform Nick Fuentes. Stop hosting them on your shows. That, ladies and gentlemen, is hypocrisy. If you don't agree with them, then debate them. You can't. Ben Shapiro always says, I do not want to platform or debate someone like Nick Fuentes who will act in bad faith. Brother, he is here. He is here to stay. He has an enormous platform and millions of people listen to him. So instead of saying, stop putting him on your show, maybe, stop platforming this gross anti-Semite, just debate him. Prove his ideas wrong. It's the only way to prove that your side, that your ideology, that your opinions are correct.
We're not going to dig up people's social media and cancel them. We're not going to take things out of context. We don't do that. We're better than that. Like, we celebrate when somebody, refuses to bend a knee to the mob. And then the same thing is happening on the right. And they're demanding that somebody be, is canceled and deplatformed because that person platformed somebody that you don't like. Or now, when I talked about on the show today, just to really get into it, is Tucker Carlson's son works for JD Vance. I don't know if you knew that.
What? No.
And they're now asking his son to disavow his father.
That's crazy.
Must make a statement about his father. I'm like, how have we gotten to this? And I said this on the show, but it reminds me so much of, do you remember when Sydney Sweeney went viral for her mom having a Make 60 Great Again birthday party?
No.
Okay, it was like 2022, I think. These photos made their way around Reddit and X and all of the things that people saw her at, a birthday party celebrating her mom, and there were like MAGA-looking hats in the background, and everybody lost their shit. And it turns out it was Make 60 Great Again. And she took a photo with some relative who was wearing a Thin Glue Line t-shirt. That just exploded it even more. And she had to make this statement. And she basically said, guys, get over it. She was like, I'm not going to disavow my family. I don't really care. It was a celebration for my mom, and that's all that matters. And the right was like, yes, this is so amazing. She's an inspiration. This is how you handle these types of things. Her values don't necessarily represent her family. This is great. She loves her family. And now here we are, demanding Tucker Carlson's son, condemn his father.
The Carlson silence is deafening.
Yeah. So anyway, I just think it's all a bit ridiculous. I would rather people air out their ideas and debate them. I think sunlight is the best disinfectant. If you hate somebody's ideas, let them speak and see what people think about them. I think that there is a bit of a Streisand effect going on as well. The more we say, don't listen to this, don't listen to that person.
Yep.
Especially with my generation, everybody's going to go
exactly, I'm going to go.
Yeah, that's with every generation. And I'm not going to lie. That is, so I'd never listened to Nick Fuentes ever. But, I heard that he was anti-Semitic, racist, whatever you want to call it. But I never really cared that much to look into him or actually watch his show or see what he's about until someone told me not to, until I heard someone say that he should not have a platform. That is dangerous rhetoric that he is spreading. After I heard that, I was like, oh, maybe this person is worth checking out, because I just it's don't put your hand in the cookie box. It's well, now I have to because you told me not to, right?
Go on Rumble and I'm going to see what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
those are my thoughts on it.
What I'm interested in is why the unity we saw for probably the last 4 years has started to splinter apart. And my notion, my bro science theory.
Okay. Before they get to this, I want to tell you what I think about this. So I genuinely do believe that Charlie Kirk, one of his many talents, but one talent that we don't think about enough or realize or no one really mentioned, was his ability to form a large coalition. He got so many people to band together, to fight together, to push forward this MAGA movement that usually wouldn't agree with one another on a lot of things. Gay people, black people, libertarians, classical liberal, far-right extremists. He got all of them to join together, work together, look past each other's flaws. And so the number one reason I think that this is all falling apart is because Charlie Kirk is no longer here. And I will stand on that mountain and defend that, because I think that is real. But then also, why else would the right be falling apart now compared to, a year ago or whatever? Well, also because of what Trump's doing in office. I don't like what Donald Trump is doing in office. I voted for the gentleman 3 times, but I don't like what he's doing right now in the Oval Office. I don't like the decisions he's making. I don't like the way he's handling himself on social media, or his administration is handling his brand on social media. I don't like the way he's hiding the Epstein files and the way he criticizes his own fans or his own supporters for caring about that. I don't like how I can't watch Fox News without seeing him trying to sell me a watch. There's a lot of issues. I don't like how he's an advocate now for more H-1B visas, bombing Venezuelan boats. Look, there's a ton. I could go on and on and on about this. But I believe that is also a big reason that you're seeing this divide on the right. Because there's a lot of people that are like, nope, screw this. This is not what I voted for. And then there's a lot of MAGA loyalists that are like, it's Donald Trump, so I love it no matter what. He's going to save our country no matter what he's doing. All right, let's see what they have to say.
Is when you're outside of the tent pissing in, it's very easy to unify because you're trying to achieve a common goal. We must get into power. Look at these people. Right? Groups are bound together more over the mutual distaste of an out-group as opposed to the mutual love of the in-group. But
that's another thing too. The right is still, this most recent election cycle, the right was trying to run on this person supports transgenderism, thinking that they could form a big enough coalition to just fight against what the left used to stand for, what they still do stand for, but what they used to put on their platform. And now that's just not working anymore either. So we don't have that necessarily that same enemy that we used to. I think that has changed a bit.
As soon as you're inside of the tent pissing out, you're the guys that are in power. You start to look around and go, well, maybe maybe he can go out of the tent now. And I think if you look at the left, because this was the argument that the right always had against the left, the progressives and the liberals and the far left and the populists and look at how it's so fractured. They're so ununified. They can't even. And now you look at the left and you think, well, they seem like they're rowing in sort of a relatively similar direction. And it's the right that's doing that. And the only
on the left, you have freaking socialists teaming up with moderates now. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of energy and momentum on the left right now that the right just does not share, that they do not have.
thing that I can see is who's in power. They're the ones that seem to sort of fight between themselves.
That's just part of human nature, is that when you get in power, I think now that we have this, control, we feel like we won. I think people got a little bit complacent, understandably so, because it felt so great last November. Like, I was riding an absolute high. The campaign was so much fun. I loved covering it. I felt like we were on top of the world. We had so many independents come over. It really felt like there was this unity across party lines.
Yeah, that died incredibly quickly, though. I mean, incredibly quickly. I would say within just like a few months after winning that November election, I would say that high, that unity died off.
Come January, maybe February, it was like everything imploded.
Yeah,
and I think you're right. People started looking around and going, we're nitpicking this and this and this, which is, I think, a good thing in some ways. I think that, it's important to criticize the admin. It's, important to not just roll over and go, oh, just because we're in power, just because I agree with this person on some things, I'm going to roll over. I'm not going to question things. I'm not going to push back. Obviously, you need to push back. I think that that's something that the left has not done very well. Even looking at Biden and Kamala, obviously, there were huge errors that occurred during their presidency, things that, or their administration, things that were overlooked and lied about. And so many people on the left were just like, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, there's no issues. No, Biden doesn't have dementia. No, there's no issues with any of this. It's totally fine. He's amazing. He's the best president ever. And so I do think that it's a good thing that the right asks questions and probes and criticizes.
Yeah, 100%. And this pisses me off because obviously, as you just heard, I have a lot of issues with what the Trump administration has been doing and what Trump himself has been doing. And there's so many people on the right, influencers that I work with, brands, all this stuff. They're like, how dare you criticize Donald Trump? What, are you a freaking libtard now? Like, what, are you woke now? It's like, no, shut up. If I have an issue with something his administration or he is doing, I'm allowed to criticize that. I should criticize that. I don't care if I agree with his stance that we shouldn't move to socialism. Cool, we agree here, but I don't agree here. And I'm going to make sure that you know that I don't agree with this. There's no issue with that. And I love how Brett Cooper agrees with me on that, because far too many people on the right and the left don't share that same idea.
But I think that it has imploded a little bit, where now we've gotten a little bit loose with that. And I think it's giving the left a lot of power, unfortunately. I mean, we just saw, in New York City, Donnie won. I think that's pretty indicative of where things could go in the midterms and in 2028. And so I think Republicans have a lot of work to do.
Is the idea of MAGA dead now in that way?
No, I don't think so. I think that because MAGA isn't Trump, I think people can argue that it is. Obviously, he created it, he coined the term, but the ideas and the values behind Make America Great Again, I think those will withstand. And I think that
as long as they're the ideas he ran on in his first election, okay? That's the Donald Trump, that's the MAGA that I want to see moving forward.
Still drives a lot of people in the conservative movement. It will be interesting to see how everything unfolds when Trump is not in office, when he's kind of, out of the picture, when he officially retires, if he ever does retire. Not saying he's going to, run again, obviously, but if he, kind of steps back from public life and just goes and golfs with his grandkids, what the party will look like and what MAGA will look like. But I think it is an idea and something that drives. I don't think that that's dead.
That's an interesting point. I've never considered what he's going to do after his presidency, because that is a man who really does not like not being in the limelight.
No, exactly.
Can you be a vice president after you've been a president? Or do you have to be completely out of the administration after
I have no idea. He might be able to be.
I think you can. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I heard people when Trump was, jokingly pitching the idea of being president for a third term. I just overheard people saying that he could technically be vice president, and then, the president could step down and then Donald Trump would be president again for a third term. So I think that might actually be possible to do. Now, should he do that? Hell no. I would be so pissed if he even pitched that idea in a serious way. I will vote for Bernie Sanders before I vote for a man to try to become president for a third term. Okay? You heard it here first.
Because if he just...
That'd be really funny.
Swap top and bottom with
with Vance.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, no, I'm never leaving.
Yeah, exactly. 16 years of me either as president or vice president.
Or we can just start another reality show. That would be my preference.
Who wants to be a president?
Exactly.
It's. I wonder whether that's going to cause power vacuum and more fracturing, or whether everybody's going to have to rally behind one person.
Yeah. In order to win, we need to rally behind one person. But I do think that it will, as we're seeing right now, I think that there will be a lot of fracturing to see what the direction of the party goes. I think that's really what we're seeing at the moment, is people are fighting for what is the new conservatism without Trump. And it feels a little bit preemptive in a way, because it's like, okay, well, we still have 3 more years of him, and hopefully we have, 8 years of Vance. I love JD. I think he's phenomenal. And I'm excited for him to run. But I do think people are trying to figure out, out with the old and with the new.
I don't think that JD Vance has what it takes to win the office. I don't. I think he's a very intelligent individual. For the most part, I agree with a lot of his policies. But he just doesn't really have that it factor that it seems like presidents require now. Well, Biden didn't really have that it factor either. Okay. Maybe I take it back, but it just doesn't seem like Vance has that gets you in office these days.
They're trying to decipher, especially with Gen Z, because Gen Z is a very different beast.
What would you say are the factions that are splintering off? How do you come to think about the terrain of like the right at the moment?
I think we have what I would call like the establishment neocons, the politicians that have been in office for God knows how long. And then I think we have
I have a problem with the establishment neocons, by the way. I do not think that they are leading our country in a good direction. In fact, I think they are leading our country and have been leading our country in a terrible direction for decades.
The younger, I would say the cooler right that is, pro-Israel. So it's not like they are these neocons that have been in office, but they are pro-Israel. And then I think you have, maybe there's 4. And then you have people that, they say are more far right. Maybe you could put them in the camp of Fuentes. Maybe he's in a camp of his own, who are anti-Israel. That's really that's really been the biggest.
Who's the pro-Israel one? Who's in that group?
I see that as like the Babylon Bee guys, Ben Shapiro. And then I think you have people that are a bit more in the middle, like the Megyn Kellys, and where I think Charlie Kirk was, who are actively trying to keep everybody together and who don't really fall in any of these camps and want to continue pushing the party forward and are working on unifying and bringing people together, and who have critiques with both of these groups. But often the people that sit in the middle, as we're seeing with Megyn Kelly, like, she isn't good enough for either group. She gets criticized by people who are farther right, the Groypers, Nick Fuentes, whatever it might be. But she also, is not pro-Israel enough for the people in that fraction. And so she
feels like a purity test.
Yes. And so she's constantly ping-ponging back and forth. I think that she's doing a very good job of handling it right now. And she's really trying to maintain her personal close relationships, which I think is important above all else. She's obviously been in this world for a long time, and she has friends on all different sides of, these issues, and in the admin and out of the admin. She's in a tough spot, but it's been interesting to watch her navigate. And I'm learning a lot from that because I do think that she's handling it gracefully.
Oh, she clearly looks up to Megyn Kelly. It's kind of cute. I love Megyn Kelly and I love Brett Cooper. I think they're both incredibly intelligent, powerful women. So it just makes me happy to see Brett Cooper looking up to her like that.
Well, handling it badly is not too hard to do. And we've seen enough people that have face planted or put both of their feet in their mouths in an attempt to try and, I don't know. We've definitely seen a lot of people be very gregarious when you're on the outside, this sort of anarchistic, we must at any way, I'm part of the rebellion. We're going to push back against the hegemony. And it's like, yeah, dude, you are the hegemony. Yeah. Now, you can't have, even within content online, it's so much easier and sexier to be the upstart rebel, pushing back against the establishment. Yeah. When you become the establishment, you can't do that. So I wonder.
Well, that's what happened with the left. And I think that's why, we took power and control in 2024 is because so many young people looked around and went, oh, I'm no longer raging against the machine. I am the machine. Yep. I'm raging for the machine. And so
I love the band Rage Against the Machine because they're such typical Democrats, and their band name is still Rage Against the Machine. And their music is, actually, I love their music. I'm not going to shit on their music, but it's just hilarious because you are the machine now. You are the establishment, okay? What needs to be pushed against is you.
I do think that has caused a bit of a shift. And so I'll be interested to see how that happens on the right.
How do you think conservatives feel about Trump's performance so far?
I can say how I feel about it. There's a lot of things that I feel really great about, and he's doing things that I voted for, especially at the beginning. I feel like we just raced out of the great gates. I am definitely in support of, deportations and getting our border secured. I was really excited about
the border thing. I'm not going to shit on Trump for that. The way he secured our southern border, beautiful. Great job. I mean, that needed to happen for so many reasons, but the amount of fentanyl that has been coming through our southern border is terrible. And I'm sure you, just like me, have had far too many friends die from that. So let me retract my booze because I am actually incredibly thankful for Donald Trump securing our southern border. Chef's kiss for that one.
Almost all of his executive orders. I think we were heading in the right direction. I know that he is working on the economy, but I think where I and many of my Gen Z counterparts feel a bit trepidatious about things is we haven't felt the impacts of that yet. We aren't seeing tangible changes in the affordability in life in the U.S. And I think that a lot of young people are looking around and going, okay, well, I voted for lower costs. I want to be able to buy a home. I am worried about my student loan debt, whatever it may be. I want to be able to afford the groceries that I want to buy. I want to be able to continue living in the city that I have grown up in, like in New York. And I think that group, especially young people, are getting a bit nervous. And I think that's why...
Nearly 12 months in now, chop, where is it?
Yeah. And of course, those things take time. And I have a lot of empathy for the situation that Trump, came into. He was handed a hell of a project because I think that through COVID and the Biden presidency, just so many things blew up. And so he has a lot to repair. So I understand that. But I also understand the young people, especially who are looking around and going, no, my life is starting now. And I feel like I can't catch up.
Yeah.
And I need to see this change. And to have Trump then...
And this is something that Democrats are doing beautifully right now. And by beautifully, I mean disgustingly. They ran so well on the affordability crisis in this previous election cycle. And there was obviously a Democrat sweep for many reasons, but largely because they focused on this affordability crisis that Republicans have just seemed to ignore. When it gets brought up to Trump, he says, I don't want to hear about the affordability crisis. There is no crisis. There is a Democrat crisis. They caused this, that, and that. The stock market is doing great. But the thing is, brother, most Americans, even if they are invested in the stock market with a little bit, a few hundred here, a few thousand there, we don't really care how the stock market is doing. We care if we're able to afford things in our everyday life. When I go to the grocery store and I buy just the necessities and I'm spending $150 plus, $200 plus, that's crazy. I can't afford a home right now. Homes are incredibly expensive. I'm terrified to have children because childcare is so expensive. It's like there is a real crisis of affordability that younger people are experiencing head on right now. It is hurting us every single day. And Republicans need to get on board with that. They need to get on board with the Democrats and say, okay, you know what? Let's actually address this and let's try to fix this, because Democrats are running on that. And then they're just saying, socialism. Let's implement socialism. But we shouldn't implement socialism. That's a terrible prescription. That's a terrible idea. But yet that's what we're all voting, what young people are voting for now, because it seems to be the only thing that's being offered as a fix to this affordability crisis. So Republicans need to get on board with that too.
Go on Fox News and say, there is no affordability crisis. You've made it up in your head. It's like that's...
Yes.
The average, you see that stat that the average age of first home purchase is now over 40?
Yeah, it's insane. It's the highest it's ever been. And for repeat home buyers, I think it's 61.
If you have ED, you might need to work on your mental game. When you're aroused, your brain releases dopamine.
Yeah.
And how can you not look at those stats as a young person and go there's no hope for me? And
why do we get ads like that, by the way? I mean, what the hell is that? I might leave that ad in this video. Just why?
I'm 21. I'm at university. You're telling me I'm going to grind for the next 19 years on average to get my first home.
Yeah.
And if the number is presumably shifting, so by the time that you get there, it's 45. It's, yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of betrayal that I see with young people where the sentiment is I did everything right.
Yep.
I did all the right things in high school. I did all the extracurriculars. I volunteered. I got the great grades. I did well in the ACT. I went to a 4-year university. I took out the loans because everybody told me I needed to go to this great university and do all the right things. And now I'm coming out.
$150,000 in debt.
Yeah, exactly. And now they're coming out. They can't get jobs, especially when it comes to, straight white men who are getting passed up. There were new statistics about that. I think that the majority of, hopefully I'm not putting my foot in my mouth here, but I think the majority of hires in the last couple of years were DEI hires. And so young men, especially young white men, are looking around and going like, what was it all for? And now I'm not even going to be able to buy a home and like, God forbid, be able to like support a wife and children.
This brother's advertising and marketing is really working. What's his name? Chris Williamson. I know that his brand is that Neutronic, whatever that can is that's sitting right next to Brett Cooper. And I want it. It looks delicious. I'm thirsty and I'm hungry. That looks very tasty. And it's working on me. It's working.
If that trickles down as well, if your older brother or older friends from the sports teams that you grew up in, or just what you see being posted online, gives you this sense that the future is not going to be that hopeful, it causes a lot of despondency. I think this is one of the big challenges that people face. It's not just what is the reality of the economy, can people afford stuff? It's what do people think the reality is?
Yes.
This is intergenerational competition theory. So you, at your age, compare yourself to where you think your parents were at your age.
Yeah.
And the problem there is you don't actually know where your parents were.
No.
So everybody thinks that the golden era, get that into you. Husband will be happy. Everybody thinks that the golden era from the past was better. But interestingly, no one ever believes they're living through a golden age.
No.
Right? The 90s, no one thought we're living through a golden age. The 70s, no one thought we're living through a golden age. The 30s, no one thought we're living through a golden age. But in retrospect, you assume that that's what it was like. And in many ways, affordability, first-time home ownership, you can look at objective metrics of that. But the biggest one is, how do people feel about it? And if you feel like you're being kicked in the nuts over and over again, that is your reality, whether or not that is your reality.
And I think that's probably a lot of Trump's frustration, is that he's like, I see that I'm making change, like I'm moving the needle, I'm trying to make this happen, but it's really hard to fight with an entire generation of young people who are looking around and going, I'm not going to make it.
Where is what I was promised?
Yeah, exactly. And you said, I always go back to this because it was just such an eloquent way to put it. But when you came on my show, however many years ago that was, you said the bar is so low that you don't have to do much to stand out. And I think that rings true in that situation as well. There are obviously young people who do buy homes, who do make it work. And a lot of times their mindset is different. That does not mean that just changing your mindset is going to fix everything, because it does require a lot of sacrifices. It requires probably adjusting the plan that you assumed you would follow, whatever it might be. But there is a path for homeownership.
Wait, I'm still stuck on this. The bar is so low that you don't have to do much, that you have to do the bare minimum to stick out. Oh my God, am I just misremembering this quote already 5 seconds after she said it? What does that mean? Does that just mean that it's very easy to stand out because you don't have to do much to stand out above the average person? Are we all that pathetic? It seemed like Brett prefaced it by making it seem like it was like a really uplifting quote. She said, you put it so eloquently, and I was expecting something that was going to make me feel better, and that just made me feel like shit. Oh, okay. Don't mind me. I'm just having some type of like mental quarter-life crisis.
Young people, there is a path for success, starting families. Obviously, I see it every day. But for a lot of people, when you are in this vacuum of, I'm never going to make it, and objectively it is hard, objectively interest rates are high, objectively things are not affordable. I don't want young people to be in endless debt. I don't want them to have to leave the cities that they want to live in and, change their careers, whatever it is. But unfortunately, that kind of is the reality that we are currently living in. And I think one of the most important things you can do is first assess your reality and go, okay, I just have to, this is it. I have to accept it. Now, what am I going to do about it? So if I had to give advice, that would be what it is. That doesn't make the situation any better.
Yep.
But it's like, okay, if you can't fight this yourself right now, obviously you can vote differently. You can do whatever you want. You can advocate for different policies. But as an individual, in order to make yourself feel better and push your life in a better direction, the first step, in my opinion, is always, okay, this is my reality. What am I going to do about it? And what I, as an individual, what power do I have?
I think it's a great perspective. And I understand what you mean, that any conversation about your mindset has an influence on your outcomes in life needs to be caveated with, well, objective reality still exists.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, now that that's fucking out on the table, there's some red tape, there's the disclaimer. I think it's the best way to look at it, because every other person also has that same belief of, this is too hard, I'm never going to get there, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And that demotivation, that lack of drive, that hopelessness impacts their push to go and do something.
Absolutely.
So that further means that the bar has been lowered.
Yeah.
Like the fact that so many people believe it's so hard to do so little means that if you can just the tiniest glimmer of hope that you can self-manifest, or you're around 3 friends that you find that are a little bit.
Yeah, and so this is a giant problem within, I want to say, Western culture in general, but definitely the United States at least. We are constantly told how hard everything is, how terrible we are treated, how you are never going to become anything because of insert thing here, because of your sex, because of your skin color, your race, your religion, you name it. You have people out there telling you that you can't succeed because of that. And why do they tell you this? Because it's profitable or beneficial to them. It benefits them in some way, their narrative, their agenda, their financial status. It benefits them, but it hurts you. And so this is a real thing because you're seeing this spread through America like a cancer, where people don't want to put in the effort. People don't want to take the first step in bettering themselves because they just say, why would I? Why would I try to do anything better? I'm a black woman. I can't do anything. Oh, I'm a white man. I can't do anything. Oh, I'm a woman in general. I can't do anything. Oh, what's the point? Anyways, the earth is going to melt in 5 years. We have really spread this. Oh my gosh, I keep on getting a spam call from the same number. We have spread this nihilism around the country like a cancer. And it really has hurt our younger generations, millennials, Gen Z, whatever. We do feel those mental effects, and it does make it harder for us to do things, but you have to get over that. You have to push through that. You have to. It is the only way for you to be successful.
A bit more optimistic than most people are on average. That is the performance enhancer.
Yeah.
The average American adult is obese, divorced, and less than $1K in the bank.
Yeah.
That's the average.
Yeah. Again, the bar is low.
Obese, divorced, less than $1K in the bank. Doing what everybody else does sounds like a safe option, but it's actually a reliable route to a life that you probably don't want.
Correct.
So that includes what you believe. That includes what you believe about the future. So what everybody else says, it's like, okay, what are the outcomes that everybody else who says gets? Well, they're not that great. And again, objective reality exists. The average homeowner rate, the highest it's ever been for first-time purchases. Yes. But again, that big cohort that's shifting that way means that the outliers can exist down here.
Hey, I got to get your attention really quick, but I think I'm going to start streaming on Twitch starting in 2026. Sometime in early January of 2026, I will be streaming these videos live from Twitch. And the greatest part about this is that you will be able to contribute to that conversation while I'm watching this. You'll be able to leave comments or, communicate in the chat. And I'll be able to respond to you and actually interact with you live. And then you will be adding value to these videos. I'm super excited to do it. Just wanted to let you know here first.